Here we go. Last week, it's fun. It's fun to enter the last week of the regular season and be in the conversation for one of the top four seeds when you take in consideration where we were at 2 years ago. And, when we entered the last week of play, I'm talking about the year Sindarius was a freshman. When you consider where we were at that year, and to know that this year, I have no idea what the future holds, nor do I consume myself with that. But it shows why my continued trust and faith in the group of kids we got in that locker room continues to get stronger with each passing day. But hard Georgia team, difficult team, explosive guards and Gaines and Frazier from a scoring standpoint, an emerging big kid in Mayton who just killed us the first time we played. Charles Mann, he's played the point, the two, and now he's playing small forward for them. And he's an absolute, just a big, strong, brute guard that just he's shooting it better this year, but he makes his living just attacking the rim and then finish it up in Fayetteville in one of the most difficult home court environments in the country. Against a team that I don't think Mike's getting the credit he deserves for the job he's done with this team when you take in consideration some of the situations that they handled in the offseason, plus that one young man that didn't qualify that they were really, really counting on. I don't think Mike nor those kids get the credit that they deserve for the year that they've had.
Frank, you've been through a lot of senior days. Have you ever been through one where you'll have a lot of international families coming to see their kids have their last game?
Yeah. I know two families that will understand me, and that's Michael's family and Brian's family. My Lithuanian has to get a lot better here in the next couple of days so I can communicate with Limonis and Mendogas' families. But it's going to be neat. It's going to be neat. It's those four guys obviously come from – two of them from the same country, but they all come from different walks of life, and to see the way that those four have bonded and worked to learn how to trust and respect each other to elevate our program to where it's at right now, it's going to be neat.
You talked a little bit about Georgia, but have they changed a little bit since you all last played them, or is it pretty much the same thing?
You know what's coming. I mean, Mark's a friend. Mark spent time at K-State as an assistant. He and Brad Underwood grew up in neighboring towns in western Kansas. So I've gotten to know Mark. I met him through Brad, and then I've gotten to know him pretty good over the years. They're not a mystery, man. You know what's coming. They're going to run their offense. They're going to try and get you to guard their offense. And then he's got two guys that are hard shot makers in Frazier and Gaines. He's got who's he's just hard. He's a hard matchup defensively for people. That's why those other guys get the shots that they get. They make hard shots now. They're real good players, but they get the shots they get because he puts such an emphasis on driving the ball that you have to figure out a way. If you don't collapse to keep him out of the paint, then he shoots 15, 18 free throws. And then Mayton has just and the other young man, I can't pronounce his name. I'm embarrassed that I can't. But number 34, their freshman center, he's come a long way from November to now. But Mayton has emerged as one of the better big guys in our conference, and they're balanced. They got some guys that they play their roles. They understand what they're supposed to do. They come at you. They're relentless the way they attack you. We got our hands full, but you know what? We've had our hands full for the last 16, 17 games. So it's our guys are excited about the senior day and the opportunity to play Georgia again.
How are you guys from a health standpoint this week? I know Michael was dealing with an ankle, and some of the other guys that have been sick. Where are you guys from a health standpoint?
Yeah, I think from an illness standpoint, everyone's in a better place. Marcus and Dobie practiced the day before we left for Mississippi State, but they couldn't, they hadn't eaten in 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was, and they couldn't heck, they couldn't get through 5 possessions in practice. They were a little better on Saturday, but they had no umph, no giddy up to them. I'm expecting to see them. I was recruiting all day yesterday, so I wasn't on campus, but I expect to see them a little better today and hopefully stronger by the time Thursday gets here. Michael's banged up, so was Craig Sword. Craig Sword spent the second half having people work on his legs. It's all these guys that play as hard as Michael, Craig Sword, Charles Mann. Every single guy is banged up at this time of year. It's Michael figure out a way to get through it, and his ankle hurts. He's not comfortable right now, but he's a gamer. He'll figure it out.
Not just that, but the way things went down in Starkville. Do you like having an extra day to maybe shore up those things and give your guys an extra day?
Yeah, it's not like we played bad at Starkville. I mean, you got to make layups. We all overreact to things. We act like, it's like, oh, my God, we stink. No, we don't stink. We played real hard. We gave ourselves a chance. We couldn't make layups. We missed 9 uncontested layups. Uncontested. That means that you shot the ball and there was no defense between you and the rim. We missed 9 of them. Can't miss 9 layups and expect to win on the road. And we gave them 4 off just pathetic turnovers. So they got 4 breakaways. So that's 9 we don't get. 9 times 2, 18. Let's say we score half of those, 9 points, and 8 points that we just gave them. You can't win on the road with those kind of missed layups and then gimmies for the other team. I thought we played hard. I thought our guys competed. We didn't make a lot of jump shots. That's part of it. It happens. But I thought we went in there and played pretty well against a team that's got a bunch of seniors that they know it's coming to an end. And, they beat Alabama at Alabama, and everyone's raving about what a great year Alabama's having. And they went in there and won. Should have beaten Texas A&M at Texas A&M. Just got beat at the end and on an offensive rebound. We got beat by a team that's actually playing pretty well right now.
Kind of just that same question. You got that extra day to get ready, but then you go 2 out of 3. Do you like having that 2 games in 3 days getting ready for the SEC tournament?
It's the first time we have that turn this year, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. It's good for postseason because that's the way postseason is. Conference tournament rolls around. You better be ready to roll every single day. And if you're fortunate to play after that, those are the kind of turns you got to be prepared to experience. So it's good for us. It's good for us to experience that. We did it earlier in the year when we were down in the Virgin Islands, where we played day off and then played 2 games in a row after that. So we got to go into our memory tank here and remember how we handled that situation when the time comes. I'll say this, every team in the country, they're starting, practice is not as exciting as it was back in October and November. We understand who we are as a team. We just got to repetition some stuff to stay sharp and maybe just go through some things that we got to do a little bit better or a little wrinkle here and there that we got to add. But for the most part, guys want to go play games right now, and so we'll handle Friday when Thursday's over. I'm trying to get through Thursday first.
Frank, now 5 out of 6 losses on the road. Of course, we're about 8 days from the SEC tournament now. Is it concerning to you that there's such a difference maybe in play between on the road and how they play here at Colonial Life, especially going into a neutral site away from Colonial Life Arena?
Here's the part. It's easy to pick on our guys because we haven't won on the road much lately. It's the hardest league to win on the road in the whole country. Kentucky leads the league in road wins with 4. We're second with 3. So it's not like we're failing miserably. We've been in there. We've had a chance to win games. We just haven't closed them out. The only thing that I'm a little concerned about when we go on the road is our inconsistency scoring. Outside of the Alabama game where we did not put up a fight, we have put up fights in every single road game. Our inability to score, especially in first halves, that's what has cost us at Mississippi State, at Missouri. What's the one before then? No, not Alabama. Tennessee, that's what's cost us in those 3 road games. Our inability to score in the first half. And layups. I'm not talking about let's shoot 10 for 12 on 3-pointers. I'm talking about point-blank layups. You know, we got to make those shots to win on the road.
2 questions. First of all, you mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how Michael in high school was a rebounder surrounded by 4 scorers. Did you see a scorer in him at the time? Did you think he was capable of what he's done this year?
It was hard to judge. I had to trust in Stu Vetter, who was the head coach at Montrose Christian, who's a friend, guy that he and I spent a lot of time together from my high school days, and Dan Preet, who's the head coach at St. James now, up in the Baltimore area, who used to be Coach Vetter's assistant. I had to trust in those 2 guys. They told me Michael has the ability to score. You can't see it on our team because of the 4 guys that are around him. So what that told me is, here's a coach that's won a gazillion games, that's coached all kinds of real good players. How am I not going to trust in what he says? And the second part to that was, when I watched Michael play, he must be a pretty good teammate because he accepted his role pretty good for that high school team. He didn't pout. He didn't run around and complain. He did what he was asked to do. And, you know, and we knew that coming in, there's going to be you know, growth needed to take place for him to do things that he had not done, and credit him for doing them and continuing to get better every year. I think he was a little stagnant freshman to sophomore year, but then last year I thought he took a major step forward, and then obviously this year, you know, he's had a heck of a year for us.
Can you put in perspective how far he has come in 4 years? I mean, is this as big a transition as maybe any player you've had?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. You know, it's he's obviously come a long ways. You know, he's his ability to rebound has never been a mystery. The problem he had is, you know, physically he couldn't do it every single day. Lately, he's been doing it every single game, and then his growth as an individual player, his understanding of what he's doing offensively, you know, his ability to gain confidence in shooting the ball. I think that confidence in shooting the ball, he put in time. I also believe that playing in the Pro-Am, where he doesn't have to worry about the score or take a good shot, bad shot, or have a guy yanking him out of the game like me because of a decision he makes, allowed him to just go out there and say, you know what, I'm working on this. And Frank told me that if I don't get better at the 3, he's not playing me at the 4 next year, so let me grow. And I think he utilized the Pro-Am to gain confidence in shooting the basketball. And, you know, and I think that brought him into the preseason, and he just kind of took it and ran with it. But he's to be commended on how much he's grown as a player. It says a lot about who he is.
Frank, especially early in their career, the 2 Lithuanian guys, did you have to deal with a lot of, homesickness and feelings like that, just that you don't have to deal with a lot of your other kids?
Yeah, a little bit. You got to understand, they both left home, just like Michael, to go to high school in the United States. So they had already been away from home. The part that you do deal with those guys on is, you know, they don't get to see their families very often. And their families don't get to see them play as much as some other guys. And you know, you have game, and it's, you know, their teammates have their families in the stands, and they kind of look up and they got friends, you know, and that's a dynamic that we have to make sure we never lost sight of. That's why it's so important. You know, a lot of guys say we run this like a family. Well, I don't say that. We actually do it. I don't need to go around preaching it. Our coaches, our families are directly connected with these players. You know, our children and our players are always around each other, and it's part of that, trying to fill that void best we can. And their teammates and their teammates' families have been unbelievable. The way that they've embraced those, especially the 3 guys, and Chris now, who's a freshman, embraced them and made them feel like they do have family here, even though their real families are not around.
As we get into March, this is almost uncharted territory for this program, at least recent history in terms of competing for a top 4 seed in the SEC NCAA tournament. With that said, with you being the only real guy with experience with that, does anything change with how you prepare, how you coach these guys in March and down the stretch here?
Nothing changes till Sunday morning. Sunday morning, then depending on what happens here, these 2 games this week, then we then refocus on what we have to do, our preparations. It's a completely different season. It's you reach back into the regular season. See, the regular season tells you who you are. Bill Parcells' quote, "You are who your record says you are," is the greatest quote of all time. You can't be a 10-23 team and convince anybody that you're ready to roll, you know. But when it's the other way around, you got to revert back to that to give you the confidence that you are a good basketball team because of what your record is. But then you have to refocus. There's some things that maybe we did offensively or defensively that we got to take a step back and say, you know what, let's not do that as much moving forward. And there's some things that maybe we haven't done all year that we might say, you know what, moving forward now, let's try something a little different. It's hard because the meanings of these games get greater and greater and greater the deeper you go in the regular season. It's hard to try new things because you can't lose. When you get in postseason, you can't lose anyways. However, you can't go in there with the same rhetoric every single day. It's the season's too long for that, and it's postseason and regular season are 2 completely different animals. So Sunday morning, we'll refocus there.
Can you just talk a little bit about Brian still embracing his role and still wanting to be involved with this program and his commitment over the last year?
Yeah, we were laughing because his freshman year, I just, as the year was going on, I was starting to get bogged down with just lack of passion. And I walked in the locker room after, I can't remember the game right now, and I said to Shane Phillips and him, I said, yo, I should have been playing you 2 guys the whole year. From now on, you guys are playing. And just because of their passion, their scrappiness, their toughness, their willingness to do certain things. And we go into Texas A&M, and we're tied with them at half with Shane and Brian in the starting lineup. And then I started them again, and we beat Mississippi State at home, and the rest is history. It's Brian is his commitment to the growth of our team, our program. He's a fun kid to coach because he's got personality. You know, he's not bland. He's not boring. You actually have to engage him to get him to do the things that you're asking him to do. That's what's fun. Coaching people that have no personality is not exciting. Coaching people like Brian is exciting because he challenges your mind. He makes you come in and make sure that you get him geeked up about what he's doing. And but you know I could tell his freshman year, he came in right away, and we're in the drill. And Michael's a guy not too many guys want to dance with. Brian didn't take a step back. They were in a situation in practice, and there wasn't a fight, but it was a physical drill we were doing. And Brian was like the one guy that said, I'm not backing up. And that caught my eye that day, and I've never lost sight of that. And he continued to be that for us moving forward. And now this year, it broke my heart with the injury situation. He cares so much. He's so when they say both feet in, you don't have to worry about Brian. His feet have been completely in from day one, and he's been a great representative for us in the community, academically on campus, on the court, and now this year he's been behind the scenes. His attitude, he's so positive in what he shares with those players relentlessly. He's had an interesting year because he's starting to see things from a coach's standpoint. As a player, you're always worried about yourself when you're in that moment. And when you kind of get on the coaching side, then you sit back and say, holy cow, did I used to do that? And it's given him some perspective there. And he's been great. He spends a lot of time with us watching film, and And then on the bench and in the locker room, he's been great with the players. And in practice, he's there every single day.